This is my video for round 1 of UtahSBK racing. Over the winter, I did some minor maintenance and upgrades to my R3. I had the shock rebuilt. I also rebuilt the fork, installed a new head bearing, greased the swing arm, swapped to a 13-tooth front sprocket, and installed an MWR air filter. I also did a couple of other maintenance things, but those were pretty boring and simple. For the first time in April, I had the opportunity to do a track day on the East configuration with new racer Flint, who is also from Missoula and was getting his race license that weekend. For the race weekend, I drove down from Missoula on Friday. When I arrived, I got some fresh Dunlop slicks to replace the dead Q5 front that I had. I also held on to the Q5S rear, which still has plenty of life. After that, I tried on my new rider gear suit. The fit was a little funky at first, but I can't say it any better than...
It's like a new pair of underwear, you know? At first it's constrictive, but after a while it becomes a part of you.
Saturday morning, we had 2 qualifying and practice sessions. These were fairly chill. My best time was a 2:10 something. Not good, considering my best before was a 2:05 on DOT tires. But, you know, it's fine for getting back into it. Especially getting used to the new way that my suit slid a little bit on my seat. The material in the crotch on the suit is slippery against the material on the R3 seat. However, the thighs and knees in particular were substantially more grippy on the tank, so the new way that I needed to hold on for braking and other movement on track was throwing me off a little bit. First race of the day was Sportsman. It was a pretty chill race. It was mostly more time to get comfy with the new suit, and I did a fast lap of 2:06.6. For some reason, this race was 8 laps instead of 7. That led to everybody asking if it was supposed to be 8, and it just was what it was. It was fine. First race of the year jank from race control. Race 2 was the lightweight race. With one of my few poor starts, I set a fast lap of 2:05.4, and I progressively improved throughout the day, so it was nice. I also had this sick pass on the outside of lap traffic, fighting the number 205 for position into Twilla turn. My third race of the day was Moto 3, and without a rabbit to chase and a 90-minute endurance race on the horizon, I regressed to essentially a 2:09. Now for the main event. This year, I decided that I wanted to do the endurance solo races. In Utah, there are 3 races. For endurance, there are 3 classes, that is. There is true endurance, which is you pass off the bike, you can have a team of up to 3 riders, they all ride one bike, and move on. There is a baton-style race where you can have up to 3 riders, and instead of getting on the same bike, they all ride their own bike. So it's like a true team where each rider has his own bike endurance. And then there is Ironman endurance, which is 1 rider, 1 bike, go for it. And I am doing that class. So we did the 90-minute endurance race. Going in, I knew that my only real competition was JoJo number 131 on an SV650. The people in front of me were on 600s and were substantially faster and more skilled riders, so they were just going to disappear. And then I believe there was one other person who I wasn't as concerned about because I was able to put a pretty good gap on him in the lightweight and sportsman races. My plan for the race was to do my best to stick with JoJo, who had been turning similar lap times to mine the entire weekend. If I could stick with him and then not have to pit because I was getting 36-ish miles per gallon and a 4-ish gallon tank, I should be fine through 90 minutes on East. And that was my plan. Just stick with him, don't have to pit. Hopefully he pits around 60, 70 minutes, and just keep turning smooth, slow laps, bring it home safe, get the win. That's exactly the kind of thing that I do on iRacing, and the whole time I was just treating it like an Iowa oval race. Just save your tires, save your gear, save your fuel, go longer than them, and then bust ass at the end. Throughout the first 65 and 70 minutes, that's exactly what I was doing. I never fell more than 5 or 6 seconds back from him. I was conserving as much energy as I could, trying to keep myself limber, shaking my legs out every once in a while. It was also significantly easier to use the water bladder in my rider gear suit than I initially thought that it would be. I've tried to use water bladders before on motorcycles, and the chin curtain makes a big difference. Don't use a chin curtain if you're using a water bladder. The little bungee thing that held the bladder hose next to my neck was in a great spot and easy to grab the hose or the end of the mouthpiece and shove it into my helmet on a straight, and then pin it to my helmet with my chin so I could get through the sequence of turns. On the next straight, get it into my mouth for real, and just hold it there without getting any water, get through the next sequence of turns, and then finally get to have a drink of water then. And it was significantly easier than I thought it was going to be, messing around with it static in the pits. With about 20 minutes to go, I ran out of water and decided it's the time to pass him. I'm going to go pass him and I'm going to pull a gap. I can go faster than him. That's what I was thinking. And I was very much able to pass, but he was also clearly saving. And it was easy to tell that he was saving from behind him. We were both making small mistakes, running conservative laps, obviously saving. But I was hoping that my time to go pace would be, a second faster than his. And it very much was not. I could not pull away. I was able to catch him going through East 1, Gotcha, and Agony and Ecstasy. Usually I'd be able to go through those three sequences significantly faster. However, I would get caught going into windup, as well as on the straights where the SB power just demolishes the R3. For the whole final 20 minutes, the last 10 laps, it was an absolute duel the whole way. There were multiple passes a lap. It was awesome. It was easily the best racing that I've ever been a part of. And all the way down to the last lap, in the last two corners, I tried to make a move going through a windup, and I was trying to stick it around the outside with more speed so that I could be even with him going into release, get on the gas first, and get to the line before his power could overcome me. However, entering release, I felt the front start to wash out, and I had to back out of it, so I came fourth by 0.476 of a second after 43 laps of racing and 90 minutes. The last lap of the race, I did a 1:59.81, my fastest time ever on East and my fastest time in the race. Jojo also did his fastest lap of the weekend that lap and did a 1:59.321. It was a very bittersweet race. On one hand, it was a complete race. It was totally clean. I never went off track. There was never any mistakes. It was a straight up 0x race. Excellent. I also put in my best lap time ever that I've done on East. There was a ton of clean and hard racing in the last 10-ish laps, lots of clean passes, and getting used to having moves made on me and making moves on people who are a similar speed instead of the sort of more normal thing when you're in my bike class and speed level, where the only people you're passing or getting passed by are 5 or 10 seconds faster. The last time that I had gone toe-to-toe with Jojo coming down to the last corner, I wound up in the gravel because I made a mistake, so at least I finished this time. And somehow my GoPro also made it the full 90 minutes from when I turned it on all the way through. So that was pretty sick. I have footage all the way through, and you got to watch it the entire time that I was babbling through this. On the other hand, I was one more clean corner and a half a second away from what I would consider my first real podium, where I had to fight somebody for position to get on the podium and take it, instead of 4 people didn't show up because it rained, or somebody crashed, or there were only 3 people signed up anyway. So it was very frustrating to lose by that little bit, by that tiny margin after so long. But, it is what it is, and there will be another one. After the race, my legs and knees were crying pretty hard. I was very stiff. Walking was a challenge. It was good to know what I have coming for me when I'm 70 or 50 or whatever. It's bearable, but it sucks. Fortunately, after a night of rest, things felt significantly better, and on Sunday, the first race of the day was 700 Twins. And this time, I was able to make the pass on Jojo and keep the lead, earning fourth with a lap time of 1:59.6, another PB. After the race, we talked. In this one, he was still just gassed from the endurance race. Totally fair. I think that, going to the gym 3-4 days a week over the winter, I forgot in the initial recording for the voiceover, but doing what we called sadistic cycling was also a huge benefit. Misty up here in Missoula was opening the local nature trail track for those of us who wanted to get some more track time but on bicycles early in the spring. So we would ride our road bikes around the track up here while in our full race or track gear, with the exception of shoes, because motorcycle boots and bicycle pedals do not like each other very much. But it was super awesome, and doing that was definitely beneficial to my endurance for this race. Has paid off. That being able to bounce back after 90 minutes and then put in another PB the day after that's a nice feeling to be able to do that. Around lunchtime, there was a thunderstorm, which had me scrambling to swap my Q5s back on. I had a fresh Q5 front and that used Q5S rear. It had rained pretty hard and then lightninged, and then it stopped. And when it stopped, it had lightning right before it stopped, so we had a 30-minute lightning hold, and then one more race before mine. And during that whole lightning hold where it wasn't raining, they brought out all of the track vehicles and the jet dryers and started to dry the track, which everybody but me was happy about, because I had just swapped to my intermediate tires, to my DOTs, and I was sort of relying on, there'll be some water, it'll mess with people, or they just won't go out. But everybody went out, so it didn't matter, and the track was essentially a 100% dry track. Oh well, it was what it was. Second race of the day in lightweight, I got third with a fast lap of 2:05.636. So, it was slower by 5.5 seconds, but, it's DOTs. For my skill level, I'd say that that's a fair drop-off. And just not wanting to crash the bike, which did happen to the guy who should have got second. Luckily, it was a very soft low side, and he was all good. The final race for me of the weekend was Sportsman. In Sportsman, there were just two of us. There was somebody on a Gixxer 600 and me on my R3. And looking at the qualifying lap times, we were both similar, and looking at other lap times that they had run, we were both running low 2 minutes, usually. And I was doing my best to stick with them, but after the whole race, they finished about 10 seconds ahead of me, and I did do my best DOT tire lap of 2:03.119. So now I have truly beat the best that I did last year of a 2:05 on the same Q5s. It was really fun trying to stick with the Gixxer, because I could feel the gap just shrink every time that we went into a corner and got, 3/4 of the way through, and then once they were able to get on the gas, it would just slinky away from me, and it was what it was. But it was very fun to watch, very fun to do. I was also thinking, there's no reason to push. There is nothing to win here. Just bring the bike back in one piece and get some more comfy time on the bike, get more used to everything. And that's exactly what I did. It felt good. After the day was done, I packed up most of my stuff and got my trailer ready to watch the Indy 500. I really enjoyed the first 480 miles until the red flag for Colette came out and messed up what I think was going to be a very cool strategy intersection finish and a great challenge for Pato and Fro to hold off Malukas and the charging double pitters. At the end of the day, though, I think Fro probably would have won without the red flag, and he still did with the red flag. So as far as I'm concerned, the right car won that day, even with the shenanigans. All in all, it was an excellent weekend with lots of progress and lots of big improvements to my riding skill. Between the start of the weekend and the end, I had entirely different gear strategies for many of the corners, because I was going 5, 10, sometimes 15 miles an hour faster through them. Really, the only sequence that I didn't improve much was the attitudes, clubhouse, and release. For going through the entire track In turn 1, I can go whole board deeper. At the start of the weekend, I was starting braking at the 3, now I'm starting at the 2 and carrying significantly more speed through the entire turn. Here's an example, the first lap of the weekend versus the final lap of the endurance race. You can just see the amount of speed that I'm carrying differently. It's just a huge difference. I'm just measuring from the start finish all the way to where the outside curb is into faster, and it's 1.6 seconds faster. In faster, I'm actually flat, wide open throttle the whole way, shifting into 6th gear, whereas before I was cracking the throttle and staying in 5th. In gotcha, I am able to now completely skip the brakes, just a downshift to 5th, even at the higher speed, and just whip it left, make it happen. Through Maybe You'll Make It, that turn is still a bit meh, but I did find a much better reference point for exiting the turn to be able to get on the power earlier. Through Satisfaction, I've similarly found a much better spot to roll off smoothly and skip the brakes, and then a good place, a good reference point to look at coming out of the corner so I can get to the throttle sooner and have more power going down that straightaway. In Agony and Ecstasy, they did a small patch to smooth over a bump that was in the center of the turn, and it's an amazing patch job, totally smooth, very good. Getting through there, I could go significantly faster than I could at the start of the weekend. I don't think the patch is necessarily improving my lap time, just a little bit of comfort and probably a little bit of lap time for the best people who are always right on the edge. Going through the attitudes, I was always turning in either a bit too early for the first attitude or much too late and missing getting all the way to the inside in the apex, so I would still be out of shape for the whole rest of the sequence. There were only a couple times that I went through there and really felt it and got into 5th gear before the seam that you exit over. Going to Tooele turn, really the only thing that I need to remember is to not brake. There is no reason for me to brake there. I don't even think I'm going too fast. I just go, oh, I'm going to slow down. I should roll off the gas and brake. And the correct answer is just roll off the gas, wait for a smidge, downshift, get the turn in, and then hammer the gas. And when I can get out of the attitude smoothly every time, that's probably not even going to be a downshift. So that'll be hopefully big time. Going through Clubhouse remained really static the entire weekend, it felt like. But the key there was that it always felt the same. I was able to every time hit that inside apex box that's right on the curb, and I was able to do it so consistently. It was the only corner that stayed the same the whole weekend. It felt like, I know it didn't, but it felt like it stayed the same, and it stayed the same every time. It was awesome. Going through windup, I finally felt like I was able to cut back to the left and open it up a little bit so that I could carry more speed in and get to the gas sooner. In release, that one is definitely still weak. I need to just get it turned and then rip the gas. It'll stick, I need to just whack it open. Next time will be the perimeter layout, and there will be 2 or 3 more Missoulans down there with me. I look forward to getting to see the front half of West again, especially since it is one of my stronger sectors in Utah. Until then, thank you for watching, enjoy.